Hello, Dallas Wagner. All right, we are going to be doing our 15th Dynasty roster review of the 2022 offseason. I would just like to point out Dallas Wagner sounds like a right-handed pitcher who throws 101 miles per hour. So, Dallas, whenever we're DMing or you're in Discord, just know that that's what I picture on the other side of the electrical interaction with us. Dallas has a 12-team, 32 roster spot, really 27, but 5 taxi squad spots. Big starting lineup, which I love. I actually really do like this format quite a bit. Doesn't have the Devi element, so I maybe don't love it, but I do really like this format. This is a lot of what I play. Super flex, 0.5 PPR. Oh, I see a few errors we're gonna fix on the show today, and 6 per pass touchdown. So obviously that favors pocket passers and quarterbacks who are going to be putting up a lot of passing yards, unless you're Jared Goff in 2019. So let's kind of go through the strengths here, run through everything, and then go through the weak points and get a final grade here. So this is obviously lovely in Superflex. You really love to see 2 high-end dynasty quarterbacks. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence in year 1 didn't go how I planned or really anyone planned. But year 2 and beyond, I think we have a nice mid QB2 with QB1 upside. He has everything. He has the athleticism to run, and he obviously has the arm talent and all that goes along with that. Has a much better coach in 2022, so we're all in. Love the Trevor Lawrence play. Joe Burrow is obviously already a proven commodity, got to the Super Bowl last year. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, which, if we look down here, we have T. Higgins as a nice little stacking opportunity. Burrow should throw for 4,500 passing yards and 30 to 35 touchdowns this year at a minimum if he stays healthy, with, MVP caliber numbers if everything goes right. So we love this combination. We'll talk about having the third quarterback in the weak points section, but when you have a strength like this, it does kind of average out. Like, you're not going to be starting Jared Goff over Trevor Lawrence a whole lot. Hopefully this year. If you are, Russ is going to be getting chased down by the bankers because he's going dynasty bankrupt. All right, moving on to running back. So when you look at Travis Etienne and Leonard Fournette, that does feel a little shaky on its head, but I love that Dallas drafted Rachaad White in his rookie draft. That was a great pick, and it shores up Fournette. So if anything happens to him or they decide they want to rest him, White's going to get a ton of opportunity. He's looking good in training camp, and it could be a guy that really emerges in 2022, and then, we'll see him boost up his dynasty value. So this is sort of like the inverse. As Leonard Fournette goes down, I'm kind of assuming Rachaad White's value will go up both in season long and dynasty. So while, Leonard Fournette is a declining asset, we could see Rachaad White sort of boost up as Fournette goes down. So love that. Darrell Henderson, Devin Singletary, Tyrion Davis-Price, Ronald Jones, a bunch of guys that don't look great individually, but are guys that can start for you in this format and are guys who have major upside in their running games because they do all play for very good running offenses, or I should say good fantasy offenses. The Chiefs aren't necessarily a good run team, but, if things happen to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that could be a nice little spot for Rojo there. If he can hold off Isaiah Pacheco, maybe a guy to pick up here. Tyrion Davis-Price, nice late rookie pick here on the taxi squad. We don't have real expectations for him in year 1. But, if he can emerge in that depth chart, that'll be huge for him. And we know the 49ers are great at making their running backs look pretty swell. Devin Singletary, Darrell Henderson, not really guys that provide a lot of dynasty value at this stage. We kind of know what they are, but they do provide week-to-week value, and since this team is a contender, we're going to need those flex plays. This has 13 roster spots, 11 offensive starters. Look at this. You can start up to 5 running backs. You can start up to 6 wide receivers. 7 actually. You can start up to 6 running backs and 7 wide receivers if you're not playing a quarterback. So these guys are going to come in much more handy than they would in a regular format. So I love having the depth here, and I do like Eno Benjamin as a depth piece as well. All right. Wide receiver, love this top 4. Actually, I love the top 5. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful young group of players who can produce for you starting this year. A.J. Brown, obviously a guy that can be a wide receiver 1 on good when he's healthy. T. Higgins showed last year, and, based on how best ball drafters are drafting him, he can be, the real deal. So, this team is young, and that's why, I'm going to write at the top, like, this team's an ascending bunch. Maybe they're not ready to hit their ceiling yet. Bateman as well, heading into year 2, his first year as the featured guy. He may not get that 1,210, that we're looking for, but can he get 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns? For sure. He for sure can do that. Or 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. I can definitely see that being a possibility as Lamar Jackson's number 1 target. Garrett Wilson, another guy that I'm really, really high on, was my number 1 wide receiver in the 2022 class. Maybe doesn't emerge fully in 2022, but I think we're going to get startable weeks out of him, and he is going to be fantasy relevant. So Garrett Wilson, a guy I am in on. I'm in. Let's do it. So the fact that you have him as your wide receiver 4 is fantastic, and that's from a dynasty value perspective. For Christian Kirk, I really like him this year. Again, you have the stack with Lawrence, so you're correlating your pieces. These are some pretty advanced plays. You know what I mean? Kind of setting yourself up so if one thing goes right, the other thing's going to go right. I really like doing that with my rosters, and I know people refrain from having the same players on rosters, like having the same players on an NFL team on their roster. I embrace that. I love having that. I actually think if you're starting multiple pieces from one team, you heighten your floor on a week-to-week basis. If you have the top 2 receivers in a passing game, you're gonna more often than not average out into a reasonable score every week, even if one guy duds out. It's probably that production's probably going to that second guy in line. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, a nice piece. I really like him when Watson gets off suspension. We'll see how that develops, but really like this piece. I feel like he's so disrespected right now in terms of what he's done. 6th round pick and really emerged into a full-time starter in 2021. I think he's the clear outside wide receiver for the Browns right now. And, he's shown excellent ability to get deep. And Deshaun Watson will absolutely be able to find him if that's the case. So Velus Jones, interesting piece to sort of take a flyer on. We'll see how he does in Chicago this year. Looking to be a pretty muddled depth chart there beyond Darnell Mooney, but maybe he can emerge. Washington banged up with an injury. I did think he was an interesting sort of flex piece potential if he could stay healthy and grab that job. But now that he's injured, Michael Gallup's going to be coming. If Washington misses a couple weeks to start the year, he's going to miss that advantage. And then he's going to be coming back around the same time as Michael Gallup. We're not going to like to see that. Chenault, I'm still holding out a little hope, but, we kind of know what that's at. And it's nice to have him with Kirk, though, I will say, just in case. If Kirk gets hurt, I could see Chenault shifting into a much bigger role. Lastly, George Kittle, lock it in. Love it. Certainly dealt with injury issues over the years, but this guy is uber talented and very fantasy relevant when he plays. Still relatively young for the position overall. And I'm fine with having him as the tight end 1 here. Not really a good tight end 2 here. I'd look to work on that. But in terms of strengths, your tight end 1 is going to be competing with, while healthy, going to be competing with just about everyone other than Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. So defense is a strength. 49ers, like to see that. Like to see the Colts. This is set. And you have some good kickers here. We'll talk about that in the next section. But overall, we have a nice balanced bunch here with some high-end pieces. So really like what I see.